Hello, social media. I don't know where I'm going to put this. Probably Twitter and Instagram and FaceTime. Why the hell not? I think we're a bit too old for TikTok, though. It's the London Marathon this Sunday, which is absolutely terrifying. I genuinely thought it was about 3 weeks away. And I'm very fortunate because I got given a part by Alzheimer's Research UK. Got given a space. A charity who I've done a few bits and pieces for on Twitter and whatnot. And rather than me kind of bang on about it and ask you to send me money, you know, I'm very fortunate in that I've not yet had to experience Alzheimer's first or second hand. You know, it is a terrifying and terrible illness and disease. And I thought it'd be best to talk to someone who has been literally at the coalface of that and who is also running the marathon. Now, Ben, you probably won't recognise Ben or know Ben, but he is one of the top television directors in the world, I would say, Ben, wouldn't you? Is that right? I'd say that. We met on Big Brother's Bet on the Side, and we've done a bit of Throwcast together. And didn't we do Celebrity Haunted Hotel 2016 as well? I think one of our greatest
achievements. That classic piece of telly, yeah. We've done lots of good stuff.
Didn't get recommissioned, did it, for some reason? The ghosts were too real, I think.
Nothing happened, Jamie, that's why.
Nothing happened at all. Nothing happened. Now, first of all, before we talk about Alzheimer's, it's the 27th of September now. We're running on Sunday. How are you feeling? How's your training gone?
Do you know what? Not too bad. People don't realise, do they, how much of a commitment it is to run a marathon. It's it's so much hard work. You're talking like 16 to 20 weeks training, and we're talking 4 times a week going out, whatever the weather. The thing with moving the marathon to October when COVID struck, and it's been there for the last 3 years now, is that you're training a lot of that in the summer, which sounds great because it's sunny, but it's hot.
I tell you what, this year has just been grim, hasn't it? The heat wave was horrific, absolutely horrific. I was having to go out on my Sunday long runs, which at the time that the heat wave was on were a good like 25, 26k. You know, I was having to leave the house before 6. Otherwise, it was just too hot to run.
Absolutely. And then you've got to try and take enough water with you and stuff to get, because even if it's not baking hot, it's still hot enough for you to be sweating it all up. I mean, I know other people that have gone out the day before and hidden water bottles on the route that they know they're doing their training run.
See, I've never been that forward thinking. That's a great idea. I wish I'd done it. I've got like a Camelback thing with the pipe. Yeah, it's not very comfy, but the anxiety of being thirsty would just destroy me, I think.
And it's hard, and it's especially hard with an October marathon. I mean, I did, because I was originally supposed to run the marathon for Alzheimer's Research UK in 2020, which I think you were doing as well, weren't you, Jamie?
Yeah, and then it got deferred.
It got delayed and moved to October due to COVID, and then it became, apart from an elite race in London with just the top elite runners, which weirdly I didn't qualify for. Everyone else, you had to go out and do the marathon your own route, and on the day it turned out to be some horrific storm, and it was the most amazing experience.
You did it though, didn't you? Yeah, you see.
Yeah, I did it. Yeah,
I couldn't face it.
Amazing. I had lucky to have people joining me for bits of it throughout. So I only ended up running 3 miles on my own at the very beginning. So I was really lucky, but amazing experience. But I never got to do the real London Marathon. So this is my year. I was supposed to do it last year, but my dad passed away.
So this is your first. Wow. Okay.
Time in real London. Yeah, I was going to do it last year, but I fell over and cracked my ribs about a month before. That was very painful. And then my dad passed away about 2-3 weeks before the marathon, and I couldn't do it. No. So the charity let me go for it this year to experience the real thing, if you like. And I'm super excited. I'm really nervous.
Oh, yeah.
I'm really nervous, but I'm so excited.
I don't feel as nervous this time around. because I think a lot of that nerves is actually just excitement, because it's just like the thrill of it is just like amazing. I'm excited to kind of like, the crowds are great, but also trepidation, because I know what I've got. I know what I'm going to be facing. There's this bit, and I'm sure I never really experienced the wall so much. Everyone says about the 20-mile wall. I don't think I really got that. There was just like a period where I was just like, I don't need to see any more of Canary Wharf again in my life. I just felt like I just felt like I was just running around Canary Wharf, and there's this weird tunnel that you go through, which is like the dregs of humanity. It's like something out of the war. It's like something out of 28 Days Later. Everyone stops cheering and like being impressive for the cameras, and there are people kind of doing all sorts in the corner, having a bit of a Paula Radcliffe moment. There are people kind of just having a bit of it's grim, but
that's the bit I am dreading. But
it's relatively early on. You'll be fine.
There's a massive Alzheimer's Research UK cheer point at 18 miles, which I went to last year, and it was amazing. So I'm just going to keep it in my head. 18 miles, get to that orange sea, and then, I'm just so excited, but I'm terrified as well. I'm off to the running show tomorrow to get my number and everything. So
does it open tomorrow? Does it? Maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Wednesday to Saturday, and then obviously there's train strikes on Saturday. So that's the other thing. The strikes aren't Sunday, but I've got the added nerves. It's not as bad, not really as bad for me, because I'm not that far out of London, but it's still the worry about getting to the actual start on the Sunday, the day after a strike, or the trains going to be in the right places and all that. But which I would just say need.
keep warm is my thing. It's quite chilly now.
Yeah.
And but like where I didn't know until I wear like a hoodie and joggers that you can just like throw away. They have these massive
put them all to charity, don't they?
Yeah, they have these massive kind of charity bins that you lob everything in. And this was a piece of advice that someone gave me just as I was about to go. This guy was like chatting to me who'd like ran like 100 marathons or something, and he's like, "Have you got your ibuprofen?" I was like, "What? No." And he was like, "Here," and he gave me like 3 ibuprofen to put in my pocket, and he said, "Take these at mile 20," and they just like numb the muscle ache. And I was like, really
great idea.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'll be doing that.
Not that we condone casual drug use, but I think ibuprofen 3/4 of the way through a marathon are all right.
I think you're allowed to do that, yeah.
Now, talk to me a little bit about the charities. You mentioned your dad sadly passed away last year. That was from Alzheimer's, right? Is that the correct term? Is that what you say?
Well, dementia, really. Yeah. Alzheimer's is a particular kind of dementia. Dementia is the term for diseases of the brain which cause these horrible things to happen. And depending on what part of the brain is affected, that depends on the type of dementia. And obviously it's still quite, a lot of it is very difficult to diagnose. It's the brain. It's so complicated. My dad actually had something called primary progressive aphasia, which started off with him forgetting words and, just getting stumbling, and it sort of progressed from that. And eventually we got a diagnosis of this PPA. And
must have been quite a difficult discussion to have with him at the time, because presumably
very difficult.
Presumably you and the rest of your family had kind of like had maybe some suspicions or worries, but didn't quite know how to raise them with him.
We knew something wasn't right. But my granddad, my mum's dad, he had Alzheimer's. So Alzheimer's is the most common form of dementia by far. So that affects the part of the brain that affects different parts of the brain have different functions. They have different jobs. So Alzheimer's affects the part of the brain which affects memory, which is why people, always think of dementia as being, you forget who people are and stuff. My dad never forgot who any of us were. What I would compare what my dad had, almost as it went on, became a sort of locked-in syndrome, if you like. So he was there, he recognised us, but he couldn't communicate, and things deteriorated. Over 12 years, things deteriorated. And when he first got the diagnosis, they gave a life expectancy of roughly around 7 years. So he did amazingly well. When I did do the marathon in 2020, I went in height of COVID, so we've been visiting in his home and perspex screens and whatnot. And I went in, meant so much to me to go in with my medal, show him what I'd done, and he did. I've got a video of it, and he recognised me. He did understand it, but it's just he's trapped. It's like locked in, and there's so many different kinds of dementia. So it's not just memory; it's different functions, it's communication, it's all kinds of things. And yeah, Alzheimer's is the by far the most common. But what Alzheimer's Research UK do, they look at all forms of dementia, not just Alzheimer's. And what they're really focused on is finding a cure, finding treatments for it to try and slow down the disease. And I've been to some of the speeches. We had a Alzheimer's Research training day, marathon training day, and they have one of the scientists, Selena Ray from Alzheimer's Research, who came up and did a talk showed us some of these, what they do with the money. And it's quite honestly one of the most amazing things I've ever seen, where they've actually been able to recreate brain cells from tissue. And you can see them communicating with each other, and you can see
the firing off the kind of neutrons.
And they're actually they've managed to create them, and that's this sort of techniques that they're using to sort of try and find ways to stop this thing, which does affect. It's not just an old age thing. It's it affects some very young people. It's unusual, but my dad was 60 when he was diagnosed, and that's these days that's not old. That's no age at all.
No,
but it can affect much younger people than that. So obviously it's something that's super close to my heart, and I've done a lot over the last sort of 5 years. I've got involved with Alzheimer's Research. They're a lovely charity. They're a really good bunch of people. They're really supportive, and they're doing incredible work. And my dad was a research scientist. He was the head of medicinal chemistry at GlaxoSmithKline.
Wow.
And so he spent his life sort of trying to find cures for diseases and doing this sort of research. So it was the natural thing for me to do when my dad got ill, was to try and raise money for that side of the disease that got him. So it means an awful lot to me to be doing it. And at least you've seen me do one marathon. So, and I've just done my shirt. I've got his name on my shirt and stuff. So, it's going to be a big deal on Sunday.
Oh, mate,
still can't quite believe it's so soon.
No, me neither. It's going to be super remote. I mean, by the time you get to that 26.2 mile, I felt like I was having a fever dream. I didn't really know where I was. I didn't know I was near the finish line. I was so kind of spaced out by the whole thing, because the crowds are kind of so amazing, and people that you've never met before screaming your name, and they can see that your legs are hurting, and I had tears in my eyes, and and that's without any direct kind of correlation or direct relationship to the charity that I was running for. And Sunday's going to feel so amazing for you. And
because I've only done that distance once before, and that was when I did that marathon in a storm.
No one chooses to do it
along the Thames. I did it along the Thames. My route, which I couldn't change, I'd done it along the Thames path. So by that, it was just mud and puddles. It was horrific. But I remember that last 3 miles being horrendous, and I remember them saying in the training, because in the training, what a lot of people also don't realise, you never do that marathon distance in training.
No, never do.
You go up to 20 miles and 22 miles, and that's it. And then you do the thing that I'm doing and you're doing at the moment, which feels so wrong after all that time. And it's the taper, and you're basically stopping. I went out today, I did a 20-minute run, and a 20-minute easy run. And it is like, it feels incredible.
I remember when I first started. When I first started running, the thought of doing like a 7K run was just like terrifying. And now, like, you know, when you get to like week 16 of marathons, your easy runs are 7 or 8K, just like a nice gentle kind of warm down. It's a really, and like the taper it feels so counterintuitive, but believe me, as you know, your legs need all the rest.
Just lets you repair, doesn't it? It lets your body, because it's brutal. I have got slight issues with my left leg, my left knee,
just behind my left knee from the marathon last time,
just to the side. And I've been like the last 2 weeks, I've dropped one of my runs, my speed run, basically, where you do interval. I've just got rid of that. I just thought I'm going to do the gentle distancey runs, and you know, it's brutal, and I did the 20-mile run. When was that? 2 weeks ago, and I decided it was, you know, it was still about 5 days after the Queen had died, and I thought, I'll run up to Windsor Castle and back. So I ran along the river. It was beautiful, along the river from just up the road from me, Chertsey Bridge, all the way up to Windsor Castle and then back down the way I came. It's beautiful.
Do you do a leap? Do you do a loop, or do you just run halfway and then turn around?
I've always done loops. And
okay.
A few weeks ago, I saw someone else on the Alzheimer's team had done a long run where they'd run one way and come back and run back the other way. And I thought, I've never thought of doing that.
That's weirdly what I always do. That's what I do. But you know why? Because it feels like a reward. It feels like it, because I need because the hardest thing about running a marathon or any distance that length is up here. Your legs can do it, you know, but your mind, because it is incredibly boring, especially when you're just on a long run on a Sunday morning at 6 a.m. and it's miserable and you prefer to be in bed. So I always have that halfway point where it's just like, I'm going to turn around. And the second you turn around, all you got to do is run home. And in my mind, it's kind of like, well, you may as well run, because otherwise it'll just take you longer to get home. That's always my thought.
I absolutely agree. And I've been running for years, and like 5 or 6 years now. And it's just never occurred to me to do that. I've always worked out my routes on Strava and like worked out my map and gone, right. And the other thing, when you run, you'll know what I mean. You get the way of working out distance suddenly changes completely. You can suddenly work out exactly. If I know I want to go out and do a 20-minute run like today, I know exactly where to go to make it 20 minutes. I know exactly how. It's bizarre.
Well, you know your running speed. You know your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Do you run? What's your training plan? Do you run by heart rate zone? Do you run by speed? Do you run by distance? What do you do?
A lot actually is heart rate.
Yeah, same. That's all I do.
Because I try and stick below. Normally it's 140 a minute for my long runs. I know if I can keep it below that, then I've got the endurance. I think as soon as when I'm out, right, I'm constantly looking at my watch, constantly looking at that and seeing, you're going too quick, slow down. Because the worst thing you can do, according to everything I've read and everyone who's told me, is go out too quick. And you're better off starting and letting all these people pile past you. Because in 10 miles, you're going to be going past them.
You'll see them in that tunnel, mate. Yeah, with their stomach cramps.
So I'm just gonna keep looking at that heart rate and keeping that heart rate down. And I know roughly where I want to be pace wise. I don't really. For me, the important thing is to enjoy the day, raise as much money as I can for the charity, and to finish it. And if the bonus would be to beat my time from last time, which I did it in 4:49, which I'm really proud of. Considering it was through mud and puddles and on my own and no crowds and whatever. So
amazing.
I'd love to do it in 4 hours 30, and I did my 20 mile in 3 hours 28. So I think
that's a great time.
Doable. It's doable.
Yeah, it's doable. I mean, I did last year. I did it in 4:11. There is no way. There's no way I'm going to do that. No way. I'm going to be lucky to get it in 5. I think.
Well, do you know what? It's something that very few people ever do. So it doesn't. Do you know what? It doesn't really matter the time.
No, it doesn't.
It's doing it and being able to have that medal and say I've run the London Marathon. So,
absolutely.
Now,
there's loads of ways you can find out more information about Alzheimer's Research UK. You can go to their website, alzheimersresearchuk.org. You can give them a call, 0300 111 5555. You can see them on Twitter. We'll at them on this video as well. They'll answer any questions you've got, and any support you can give them, either on the day of the marathon. All the orange shirters, look out for them, give them a cheer, give them a wave. Look out for Ben. He hasn't got his number yet, but I'll tweet out his number before we set off on Sunday. But most importantly, I'm not fundraising for myself this year. I am running on behalf of Alzheimer's Research UK, but I'd love for you, if you have, look, and we all know pounds are worth pence these days, and all the rest of it, and it's tougher than ever. But if you do have a spare £1, £5, £10, please, 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 for me, donate whatever you would have given to me. And I raised like £6,000 last year. If there's a fiver burning a hole in your pocket, please, please donate it to Ben in memory of his dad. That would be the best thing that you can possibly do for me. I beg you, please. Anything you've got spare,
thanks, Jamie.
Please donate to Ben on behalf of his dad, because his legs are going to be absolutely fucking killing him, and he needs every pound he can get. And Ben, I will see you at the finish line. And,
can't wait.
Thanks for coming on and chatting to me, mate. I really, really appreciate it.
Real pleasure. Thank you.
Good luck. See you with your medal.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you, mate. Thank you.